shows. I always loved like sort of these elite characters. That's why I did the SPAC. It's why Gamma was so cool because I brought in all these founders, and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool to have a way to chat with, Richard Branson, or we had the Reid Hoffman digital twin, deep fake, and say like, hey, how did you build LinkedIn? How did you do this? And having them in their voices and their image coach you. Welcome to the Messy Middle. We are back again this week. We are missing Teddy. Teddy is where's he at? He's at the Founder Games, or is he flying back from it? He was spending almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, he went back to Macedonia. He's going to fly back to the US. But I don't know. He'll tell us more about his adventure once he's back.
I mean, I kind of miss him because he's the solid rock that keeps our formation in place here. So I don't know if
he's also the one with a Riverside account.
Yes. So today Riverside got double of our payments. So our sponsor today is Riverside. Thank you, Riverside. Actually, it's like a reverse sponsor. We have to pay them.
Well, the good news is, I just realized if you click cancel plan, this says, hey, don't leave. We'll give you 3 months for free or for $5. So we should, we should definitely do that.
I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. So we were chatting before, like what we wanted to discuss about this week, and I almost think
inspires us right now. Like and you're traveling too. I'm the only one for once not traveling. I guess we kind of cross wires on this one. But tell us maybe about your adventure, what you're up to, and then let's segue into AI.
Yeah. So I want to give a little timestamp of where I am in sort of the Messy Middle journey. I think I mentioned, last week, I'm about 6 or almost 7 months into it, maybe close to 7 or 8. And I'm finally feeling inspiration to actually want to do something new again. And
was it like a blip and you woke up, oh my God, inspiration? Or was it just like a slow iterative transition towards that?
Can I say it was both? Like,
no, you can't.
Okay, no, I can't. Okay. So I would say it's extremely slow, but the point of where I got the inspiration was like this. Like I felt it. Like I had
if I had to make a bet, I feel like it's San Francisco. And as soon as you'll be back on the East Coast, you'll be like, oh my God, my inspiration is gone.
Probably.
Maybe not. It'd be interesting to track.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like, I'm also in LA too. And I lived in LA before. I don't feel any energy in LA for AI or even for startups. Like, I've met a few startup founders here, but all the energy is actually, I feel it in San Francisco. There is a huge amount of energy in New York, but it's not the same as you and I know. So I would say the inspiration was seeing this insane AI gold rush in San Francisco, and as I mentioned, like I saw Adam Newman, I saw I went to the Bloomberg Tech Conference, I stayed in the Mission area, and I was a few blocks away from OpenAI, and like there is a feeling like this is a moment, and I don't actually know how long the moment's going to last. And what's interesting is I had an idea, like one of my ideas that I think I sent around to the group. I even actually applied to YC for fun. I was like, screw it. Let me just apply for YC and put a video out there. I have FYI to all of our post-exit founders out there, why I did this was just because I said I could do it every time I have like an early idea, I just apply. So I applied to YC. I have no technical co-founder. I have not incorporated the company. I don't have a website, but I applied with like a throwaway idea that I actually am interested in.
So let me maybe bounce on that, and then because plenty of stuff you can talk about San Francisco, but on my end, I mean, AI to me is not new. It's something I studied as years ago when I was doing engineering, and at that time, basically, no one wanted to touch AI, with a stick. That was like a dead hand for anyone doing something. And for maybe context, that was like 2002, 2003, so 20 years ago. 10 years later,
just after the dot-com boom and bust.
10 years after, you started to see something coming back, and that came with the I guess innovation of like specific kind of filters, and at the same time with what you could do with GPU. So you started to see like basic stuff that started to be interesting, like the first image generation or image detection, feature detection, like things like that. And that was, convolutional network was the thing. That's also kind of where we shifted from AI to, like, I guess, other wording, like the large language models and et cetera.
Well, there's
Kind of came
machine
after,
learning.
but
I mean, remember machine learning, and that was like
but
all the rage. Deep, and then DeepMind with.
yeah, but that's the thing. Deep learning. I was listening to Yann Lequin, who's a French researcher based in the US, like teaching at Columbia and also leading AI for Meta. That was really funny. I think in one of his interviews, he said they came with the term deep learning because AI was burned, and so they had to invent a new term. That was like researcher bullshit, which is really funny.
Well, because AI, because basically there was always like an AI winter following the AI,
exactly.
AI boom.
And now 10 years later, I was listening last week to Ilya interview with the CEO of NVIDIA. And basically what he said is true, which is the basics haven't changed in 20 years. The thing that powers the revolution today is exactly the same technology as 20 years ago, minus, different strategies about how you train or you perceive, like all these things. And which is fascinating to see. And with the computation power that comes, I think when he started OpenAI, basically between the moment they started and now, they multiplied by 1 million the computing, and the data and everything. It was unbelievable. But what's really crazy is it's working. Up to what point, I don't know, but with OpenAI, GPT-4o, with Google, where you were there, and you'll tell us like about what people were feeling. But yesterday I did something funny because I kind of want to play with things right now. I'm in that phase where I'm like, okay, I have a couple of ideas, but I need to find the right co-founder. Don't have the co-founder yet. And then I tried to see if I could install OpenAI on my Mac. I don't have Invite yet. But I realized that the interface on the Mac is the same as the phone. And then I started to play with the voice on the phone. It's not the new fake Scarlett Johansson voice thing. But it was really cool. I really recommend that to people. I think that's going to be my new Wikipedia/podcast. I was walking back home and I spoke nonstop for 1 hour with OpenAI.
Yeah, I did that last week.
That was awesome. I was like, how would you do that? How would you code these? What do you think about that? And because now the data is updated to 2023, can I talk about it? And I was like, holy shit! Like maybe I don't need a co-founder indeed. Like just start with an AI.
That's where my idea came from of what I want to do in San Francisco, which is whenever I start an idea, and you asked about inspiration, and the point that I'm at is I get inspired by people. And that could be people who are living or dead. A lot of the time it's people who are living, but the stories are what inspire me, and you sent in our group chat this morning, the Arthur Brooks book about, how it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, of course, obviously, but it's also about the people's journeys, and reading about it that gets you inspired to continue going through this messy middle. And so conceptually, I was thinking, when I come up with an idea, I think, who can I meet and who can I bring that can be a part of it? And I always love CEOs. I always love like sort of these elite characters. That's why I did the SPAC. It's why Gamma was so cool, because I brought in all these founders. And I was like, it'd be so cool to have a way to chat with, Richard Branson, or we had the Reid Hoffman digital twin, deep fake, and say like, hey, how did you build LinkedIn? How did you do this? And having them in their voices and their image coach you. I feel like that's absolutely going to happen. It's like the Futurama.
It's
already happening.
It's already happening, and it went really fast. I had a similar idea that was more than 20 years ago for IRC, for people who are old enough to know what it is.
Which basically became AIM.
I have this theory that all the greatest Silicon Valley success came out of free product from Linux. Sorry.
I was just saying IRC became AOL Instant Messenger.
I mean, even more than that, I would say IRC became Slack, Finger, for those who know Finger.
Or was it ICQ?
Facebook.
Was it ICQ? I think it was ICQ that became AIM.
Anyway, so but back to what you were saying as an idea, which is recently I was seeing another interview of Steve Jobs who described the future of computing that way, and who said, you could talk to Seneca,
Yeah.
And
That was like from like the 80s, that video.
yeah, exactly. So the voice interface is really getting really good. And now again, like the issue with AI ideas, and you and I have been talking about it with Teddy, is where the hell is the barrier of entry? So because I was like, okay, cool. I've got a couple of ideas. I've got the same idea that I couldn't execute 5 years ago, and I kind of want to execute on it, but it's not for business, but it's pretty fun. I can tell you what it is. It's Google Translate for math.
Mm-hmm.
And now the way we do it is, just a couple of API calls, like looking at the paper. It really boils down to the context window, which still is not big enough right now, but we're getting there. And this thing you can execute quite well. But I saw Microsoft. I don't know if you saw the announcement of their new platform, where basically I was like,
And
okay,
their
cool. I can
laptops.
implement. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to do stuff for corporation. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I'm just going to screenshot everything, and then boom, Microsoft. They're launching it, but they're launching it with owning the whole stack. You can't fight that. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting about like the barrier of entry, and to me, the barrier of entry is just going to be. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, the truth is, how much can you fight that and say you can't fight that? I know everybody's saying you can't fight that, but I feel
you cannot,
like
you cannot fight that. But the thing is, you have to choose your battle. So that's not a battle you want to go for.
So let's say you can't fight
but you have to find other battles that you can fight and win.
Right.
And so that's where I was going. To me, the battle you can win, my guess is the agentic battle, which is like building your unique cocktail of agents, fine tuning them in a specific way so they interact in a. Think of an agent as a company, like a set of agents as a company, or even a country, or whatever, like a club. If you have 50 people, someone else can have 50 people, but you will have a number of combination. Even if you had the same people, if you put them in a different order, for the math nerds, but you would have 50 factorial different stuff. So you have a way to win if you build interactions that are unique enough. Is definitely
right.
And the good news too is OpenAI, Google, Apple, maybe not Apple, but Microsoft, which is, I guess, OpenAI, all of them, or Facebook, Meta, they're all going to want to build communities. So they will want you to use these things. So they have to leave you room to win.
It's like the blockchain. It's like the blockchain platforms of our crypto youth in the 2017, where they wanted to build on top of them.
The revolution it's a full block, and it's a beautiful stack. Blockchain plus AI plus VR and AR is huge, because the blockchain thing
it's
now
the Frank utopia of ideas.
Any nerd or anyone in San Francisco, I guess it's like, but again, like you have all the blocks, right? So you've got the blockchain thing, which allows you to create value. I mean, we see that now, like a Bitcoin was worth nothing, and now it's worth something. Once that value is stabilized, then blockchain is still being used for the legal system. So you can contract, on a blockchain. AI will want to contract with each other. So you have this infrastructure for payment and for contracting.
Right.
And then you'll be able to instantiate, and then the AI allows you to communicate with a machine through voice, by talking, by seeing, not by smelling yet, I guess maybe one day, or through your brain interface. We're getting there too. That's further down. And so now you'll have VR and AR, where you'll be able to plug into these things and make them natural interaction. So we're getting there. It's going to be, I think, 20, 30 years of work. There's definitely a bubble. But
always a bubble.
People don't argue about what's happening. People argue about, no, it's not going to be in 2 years, it's going to be in 20 years. I'm like, it's amazing.
Yeah, or 200. I mean, there's not many.
The truth is, no one knows what's going to happen. But
no one knows.
With what we have now, and I'll say a few words after that about it. But yeah, go on. Sorry, I'm just amazed. It's such a great time to be alive.
You just say a few more words. But I want to get back to the point. Our theme is this concept of inspiration, and I can see through you what's inspiring you, which is these grand ideas happening in the next 20 years versus happening in the next.
They can happen right now. I think it's just the time
and this is
they defeat. They kind of go through society. It's going to be long.
Yeah. So, but I saw across the spectrum of AI, space. There are a few others, like
health,
blockchain. Health, blockchain, less so on the SaaS side, like B2B SaaS. But I've never been excited about B2B SaaS. It's more. Well, I mean, it's more New York.
I'm running a SaaS company now, but yeah.
It's more New York, but I guess
No, but you're right. That's yeah.
The largest SaaS companies probably are still in California. I mean, but New York is like more fintech, and if I can compare the two, both have great entrepreneurial community. I mean, we've lived in both, but like if from an energy perspective, it feels like okay,
but
it's going back to San Francisco.
Yeah, but I want to go back to the basics, right? Which is why it's exciting. And I think there's three things that comes to mind. The first one is when I came to San Francisco, not as a child, but later, it was right at the beginning of the iPhone. And that's funny. I remember I went to an event with VCs, and we were 1/3 of developers for 2/3 of VCs. There was the guy from X.com at the time. I forgot his name. One of the co-founder. And the guys were like, "Oh my god, like iPhone is going to be huge." And I was like, "Bullshit."
Not Dennis who interviewed.
You know, muffle that names. But anyway, a room of 40 people. No, sorry, it wasn't Dennis. No, X.com, not .ai. The payment company from with Elon. And but the thing I wanted to say is at that time I didn't see it coming. I was still a techie. I was less of an entrepreneur. And so to me, I was like, people are getting so excited for like just an iPhone. My lesson learned is having a GPS and an access to internet created like trillions of dollars of value. It's insane. Let's not forget, because I like reminding people of that, and which is all of that is possible because of the physics. Like the physics is the basis to so if you look at the source of innovation, first layer is physics. Second layer, you've got tiny innovation. What's new? What didn't exist before? And now you've got a GPS somewhere, trillions of dollars. Now you've got the two things that to me is super interesting about now is we got used to technology moving really fast. Like that's not something anyone else would have got used before. You know, you would have agriculture for 2,000 years and, you know, didn't really move. And that kind of creates something weird where we're not impressed anymore by tech. So I just want to put it back in perspective, like two levels. Number one, you have, we went to Venice to visit San Mark Cathedral. And the first thing
Basilica San Marco.
And the first thing you see when you enter and you look up, and it's apropos because yesterday was the Pentecote for Catholic, which is the celebration of the Holy Spirit coming to the saint, and that was a painting of that. And the reason it was amazing and remember in history as something you celebrate like 2,000 years later in religion, is because something amazing happened to the apostles, which is they started to be able to speak any language, and that was like impossible, like some crazy miracle. And now literally you can do that on your phone and no one gives a shit. You have the same thing with VR and VR. It's like people are like, like the Apple Vision thing or the Meta thing, you know, it's nice, you can play with it. But I mean, you can put things in 3D, in a 3D world, putting it somewhere, walk away, come back, and the thing will not virtually have moved, you know, by more than, you know, half an inch or even less than that. And no one cares. And so to me, it's really funny how much we got desensitized to the amazing technological progress we've done, to the point where you're like, I don't know what I can do with GPT, you know, it's dumb. And like people, like another example is like people say, oh my God, GPT, it's so dumb, you know, it says all these stupid things. I mean, just go on social media and look at what people say, and no one finds it like weird that people like say a lot more. So
I think people find it very weird. It's just, but like, at least when I go look on social media, I guess on our social medias, on X and everything, I'm like, okay, I like what they're saying. But then sometimes I go to Instagram and I'm like, okay, that is ridiculous. And then I forget that people actually are unaware of certain things. And these models are trained on people, right? They're trained on our data. So, you know,
anyway, exciting time. Like there's, again, to summarize, like the technology we have today is just mind blowing to the point that even the people who build it, I'm not sure, I mean, didn't really expect that. I'd be surprised if they did. I think it came to them also as a surprise. Like, and there's already a lot we can build. All that we can build. And then maybe it will get better. And if it gets better, then Jesus, I have no idea what's going to be. It's just too much. But exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I think what it comes down to is, you said maybe it'll get better. I think it's going to get a ton of better. And the, as I think about it from the inspiration side and the entrepreneur side, the decision of what you work on comes down to, are you going to be doing more research or are you going to be building a business? And that's where I'm entering in this framework, is like, okay, should I be building something? And,
I can tell you, yes, we should all be missing things. Like building is the only way to learn at the moment. And,
right, but I'm saying, but not just building. It's yes to both, but it's, you have to, because a lot of people are saying, okay, like I had a phone call with a friend yesterday who is an incredible, executive, but not a founder. And he told me, he's like, I'm afraid to start something new because I've only been in this one job my entire adult career, this one network, and I'm afraid to start something new because I don't have another person to start it with me. He's trying to convince me to do it. I happy to help, but I don't want to do it because it's like mostly events. It's an AI community, events, networking, cool, but it's not the tech side. It's an event, newsletter, business. But I pitched him on some of the AI ideas I had. And he goes, well, there's no moat, there's no business, there's no this. Exactly. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, everybody's thinking that way. There's a couple of people who are not thinking that way. And it's mostly the 20-year-olds that are building AI businesses.
I'm not sure. I think a lot of people are thinking that way. And the 20 years old who don't have experience, are like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do this thing.
That's what I'm saying.
But the issue is the barrier of entry to these things. A lot of these things are very obvious, and of course, Microsoft, OpenAI, Google are going to tackle it.
Right.
But I have no doubt that the ecosystem will come with ideas that are less obvious. But the issue is then what will happen very likely. Yeah, no, but just to finish, what
you have to work on, but like you have to work on obvious ideas to get to the ideas that are not obvious. That's what I think.
I think we go back to the old mantra, which is build things that don't scale, kind of. And I think what's going to happen, it's always the same story, which is you will have an idea, and there's no way it's going to be $1 billion idea, and so no one's going to be excited about it. Google is not going to care about it. Microsoft will not care about it. Investors will be really hard to convince. And one of these will be a great idea. And it's always like that. And if you have an idea that's like, oh my God, this is $1 billion idea, this is how we're going to use AI to do that, I feel like these are really hard to tackle because they have to be very visible. And so you want to be creative. It's always like this weird thing about, not being around the tech. But anyway, it's a new world out there. You're going to have to think about agents almost as, weird people. In a weird way, you I don't know, we'll see, but exciting time. Like I have a couple of things I want to work on. I just want to play with the technology. But Microsoft, for example, like again, they're very clear. Like they're going to have a full stack platform, but just memorize everything you do, and you can already imagine the impact of that. It's just going to be tremendous for corporations. And then the other thing, the other business that's very obvious is you pick one business, anyone you want. And you start it from scratch with AI, an accounting firm, legal firm, whatever, like anything you want. And that there's going to be also people doing that.
Yeah, look, again.
And robotics. We didn't even talk about robots yet, but that's going to be the next.
But I didn't see any robotics when I saw the one robot that was at Playground Global and Playground.
That's why I like robots, because there's still not many people working on it. I've got my robot right here. It's funny. A robot.
So I think we kind of like beat this inspiration topic to death for this week on like where we're inspired. I'm definitely gonna be spending more time in California this year. I feel like
cool. I'll be there too. We'll sync, I guess, later this year.
After your honeymoon, after our trips this summer. I mean, there is this fear of missing out where I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a little vacation. I'm going to take 2 months. But
you have to get away with that. There's always going to be FOMO all the time. It never stops.
Yeah. So
imagine,
find a quote.
Imagine 10 years from now.
Oh my God. Imagine when we have kids and everything else. Like I've been talking.
Did you augment your kids? Are you for or against kids augmentation? Brain implants. I got them on Brain Implant Hulu. It's free, but they have ads every 2 minutes.
You say like, I don't really want this ad directly streamed to my eyeballs. It's like it's okay, just don't pay attention to it. Let it freeze
Yeah.
over. So,
Yeah. When I was young, we didn't use brain implant. We were using TikTok. Yeah.
So
The
let's
quote is,
see.
it's your turn. Your quote.
It is my turn.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to find a good quote here.
Again, I really want people to
This is like a good
go talk to.
entrepreneurial. Okay, this is like a good entrepreneurial quote,
Mhm.
which I don't actually know if either of us will agree with this one, but the more control you have over your life, the more responsible you feel for your own success or failure.
But it depends if you believe in free will. I don't.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if you
Yeah.
believe in free will, then you have plenty of control. If you don't believe in free will, then it's a little bit more complicated.
We can talk about that in the next episode.
No.
So,
We're not gonna. We're not a philosophical channel. Are we?
but
Maybe
I
we are.
think no. I mean we're kind of quasi, but playing off that quote and even into sort of ending, for this week, Miss Teddy, he'll be back next week. We've got a few guests coming up as well, but I hope for our viewers, you can see both Frank and I are heading along this journey nicely, and we're not entirely depressed. 7 months into it, where maybe in the beginning it was like, oh my god, it's so hard, which doesn't mean it's getting easier. It just means time.
That's why you and I maybe are different from Teddy in that point. But I can never do a business alone. Like, so to me, the idea is as important as finding the right person, because I
No way.
I used to teach entrepreneurship like that, and I'm not teaching, but whatever, talking about it, which is you have up and downs. And when you have up and downs, like your business has up and downs. And
Yeah.
so there's a logic into having different people with different rhythms. So when one is up, the other one's down. You can vent to someone.
That's why we.
But again, maybe at this point, maybe I'll try to just be. I've got a couple of challenges idea for you, me, Teddy. I gave you some, but on mine, it's like, okay, what about doing a business that makes €1 or $1 or 1 yuan profit only with AI? There's no other worker than a bunch of AI. Like tiny things like that.
It's possible. Yeah,
it's possible, but it's like, again, it's easier to talk about it than to build it, and then maybe that's a good way to start, like the $1 startup. And but again, I really enjoyed, and I really can't wait for the update, the upgrade on both Google, Meta, and this whole voice interface is just mind blowing.
Yes, it is.
It's a Siri that works, and it's really gonna be super interesting. Like I can literally talk all day with the AI and get inspired and bounce ideas, and it's really good.
It's good. So when they put us all in the insane asylums because we're part of the older millennial generation, we'll have some nice AIs to talk with. Okay.
Exactly.
Talk to everybody next week.
Yay.